Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're having a great day. Exciting news. Andrew Yang has passed Kamala Harris, according to Emerson polling, in her home state of California. He's now polling at 7% there. She's trailing behind in fifth place. Uh, so just like we predicted, he's marching along. And the thing about the Andrew Yang campaign, here's the thing. Once Andrew Yang passes you, that's probably pretty much it. He has a very gradual campaign he's running, but it's like a juggernaut, right? He's like a juggernaut. It's like a force of momentum. Once it gets started, it's going to be very difficult to stop, and he's going to chug right along. So this is pretty much sounding the drums for Kamala Harris. She had been taking quite a few hits, but I think this is going to be a hit she can't really recover from. She had this strange giggle, this very uncomfortable laugh, and I think I'm understanding why that was now, because I think it was fear that she saw that Andrew Yang was coming up on them and his message was going to resonate a lot better with the American people. And so it's the beginning of the end for her. So now it's on to Warren. It's on to Elizabeth Warren. And I think it's going to end up with a trifecta between Andrew Yang, Biden, and Sanders. And I really believe Andrew's going to get this nomination because, maybe before some of us weren't quite sure, but I think many of us are now seeing that Yang's going to get the Democratic nomination. He can win this thing. He can win this thing, and he's going to. No doubt in my mind now that he's going to win this thing. Joe Biden's, is not going to be able to get the job done. I think that even the DNC is realizing that now, slowly but surely. And I think these other candidates are gonna, because the reality of the situation right now is, I think the Democratic Party is realizing that they're going to need a lot more to beat Trump than they have factored prior to this. They're going to need a force like Andrew Yang to go up against somebody like Donald Trump. Now, that the candidates see this, this is what they do. They hire $1 million firms to get them elected, and these people work around the clock. So best believe you're going to start to see a lot of hit pieces on Andrew Yang. And he doesn't have a history in politics or a record, so it's very, very difficult to get Andrew Yang. However, there is one thing that comes up in politics that makes Andrew Yang quite the target, and we're going to discuss it next. And that is now trying to present Andrew Yang as not being a Democrat. It is the only card they have left to play. They aren't going to find any dirt or scandals on Andrew Yang. He's a family man home with his wife. Andrew Yang doesn't seem to me to be the type that's going to end up like a Bill Clinton or something like that. So they got to get him on his credibility of being a Democrat now. So let's talk about that and see what kind of tactics they're going to use, because they're going to use newspapers. They're going to use everything they can to make it clear to the Democratic Party he's a Trojan horse, right? That he's bribing the voting, the Democratic voters, and that he is the future of the Republican Party, and that he's going to try to turn things around on us. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Okay, so we're on the daily.com. And this article is entitled, let's see here. Here we are. Andrew Yang isn't a Democrat. He's the future of the Republican Party, and he's running in the wrong primary. So this is how it starts off, right? They gotta now try to attack Andrew Yang. Is he really a Democrat? And try to create the Trojan horse scenario. So let's look at some of the things the article is saying. I'm not going to read the entire article. I'll leave a full link in the description from thedaily.com. But I just want to try to get to some of the major points they're going to try to use to make it seem like Andrew Yang's more Republican than he is a Democrat. So let's see here. Here we go. This is where it starts. And the article is quite erroneous too. So I don't know how they get this information, but the Freedom Dividend requires cuts to Social Security, disability, welfare, and food stamps to work. So I believe he's talking about the opt-in, opt-out thing, right? Okay, so he's not phrasing that correctly, but all right. Essentially, he would take a social safety net meant to protect those in need and replace it with a blanket system that would dole out $1,000 a month to everyone. Yang argues that recipients will be able to choose between the dividend and other benefits. However, he also says he would fund the Freedom Dividend by consolidating some welfare programs and implement a value-added tax, current welfare and social programs. So, you can kind of get the gist of what they're going for. They're basically saying, well, oh yeah, this is basically the plan to get all the welfare people off welfare, get them on a cheaper set of benefits, right? Because of the opt-in situation. And what happens is that I guess they end up, losing their benefits, or the government doesn't have to dole out as much money. So they're framing it like it's a cut against food stamps and Medicare and all these things, or those type things, right? Social programs. So the thing is, what that article leaves out is that is all the benefits that people on social programs are now losing because if they attempt to get a job or get some type of employment, the dangers are several dangers. One danger is if they do that, then they lose their benefits, right? Then let's say they lose their job 2 or 3 weeks later. Now they don't have their benefits. Now they got to try to go back through the system. They got to try to get all that started over again. The next part is the value between them getting a job and their benefits. Unfortunately, a lot of jobs that a lot of people on these programs can get aren't giving them much more money or value than what getting a job would be giving them, right? So, sorry, gang, I forgot to turn off my notifications. So I do apologize, gang, but that was kind of some good news for our project as well, as some people had some trouble getting our UBI token. So, but let's see here. Yeah, as I was saying, so they're trying to make it seem like the Freedom Dividend is basically this way to cut the welfare program, right? But if you really look at it, what's going to happen is, in many cases, people on these social programs are going to be in a much better situation. And that's going to be due to the fact that they're going to have the safety net now, the Freedom Dividend, but now they're going to be able to go out and work and do productive jobs and have the safety net still of the Freedom Dividend. So what this is going to do is it's going to create more value and productivity, not less. This is a good thing. They still got the safety net. They're not losing benefits, because if they go out and they try to find work or they try to find a job and they keep trying to do that, more than likely they're going to produce more income and more value with a job, even if they lose it and have to go back and get another one. They're eventually down the line going to still produce more value than what they're going to get from the social programs and things like that. So I certainly don't see that as cutting their benefits, but of course, that's how they're going to try to spin it. Not to mention it is opt-in, right? So by it being opt-in, Of course, they can choose to stay and collect their welfare benefits, right? So I think it's going to be quite easy to educate people enough to the point to where you go, what's best for your life at this point? We're not cutting anything. We're not taking any benefits away from you. But what is the best way forward for your life right now? Right? Is it going out and getting a job that's going to be productive for you? You can do that now because you have the safety net. You're going out and doing this is by no way endangering this. Which is different from welfare. The welfare and social programs are telling these they are encouraging these people to do that, and that's not good at all. Of course, the minimum wage thing that gets tackled a lot. Trying to see what else the article's saying because I'm not going to read this entire article, but I want to just go on some of the main points. But, I do know that minimum wage, Andrew Yang wasn't for minimum wage. He says that the Freedom Dividend covers the raise that we get in minimum wage, right? So, it's still taking care of what we receive in minimum wage, just not, minimum wage forcing employers to have to pay more. In some cases, some can't afford it. And in some cases, they just end up putting more work on people who are already there. And now these people are doing 2 or 3 jobs or more than before. Or they're hiring less. Or they're trying to cut corners. Whatever the case may be, they're making and creating this way to, to not have to pay out that money. Yeah, and they're trying to go after the MMA fighters, but that's more related to unions and a variety of things. They've also tried to say that because he's picked a Republican president as his favorite president, that's some kind of indicator. So they're grasping for straws here because they don't really have anything else. And as we recall, Obama said that Abraham Lincoln was his favorite president. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. He's talking about Teddy Roosevelt, Andrew Yang, because of Teddy Roosevelt's bipartisanship. And so Teddy Roosevelt was very similar to Andrew Yang about not left or right, but forward. But this is what the Democratic Party and candidates is going to have to try and use to cut Yang down, because he's beating everybody and they don't know how to stop him. They don't have anything really on him. So what they have to do is they have to try to attempt to make it like he's not a real Democrat. He is a Trojan horse that's going to recreate the dream of conservatives, right? Where the welfare system is dismantled, everybody's benefits are dismantled. And, this is the secret way to get that done. Now, let's see what he's saying about health care, because I think that's very important, because we know, of course, Andrew Yang is for Medicare for all. But so let's read an excerpt from here. He says, even when you look at the issues where Yang seems to agree with progressive thought, there is a conservative ting to his policies. His Medicare for All plan focuses on access to health care and an increasingly common right-wing tale. Access means that people will be able to buy any kind of insurance, not that they will be able to afford it. Yang has said he wants to preserve private insurance and notably remove the term single payer from his campaign website. So, even in that, they're trying to move towards, it's not, as progressive as some other Medicare for All programs. It does have that ting, they're saying, of what the right wing, the Republicans would have, right? So this is their tactic. This is the only thing they got to play. Now, the thing is, these people are professional. These agencies that are going to be doing these hit pieces on Andrew Yang, they're going to be quite efficient at it. And a lot of stuff is going to land probably. So my hope is that the Andrew Yang campaign just is able to maneuver around it properly and not let this explode into, you're not a Republican, right? They also attack his, his climate change policies. Um, and the thing about it is Andrew Yang's climate change policy is almost as it's not it's the biggest proposal since Bernie Sanders climate change policy, right? So they're grabbing at straws here, and because Andrew Yang's gonna be this bipartisan candidate who can do what an actual leader does, and that's able to get people to get along, get parties to work together, represent all of America. That's really the definition and idea of a leader. The idea of a leader, when we send people to Washington, D.C., when we send our elected officials to Washington, D.C., we're not sending them there to represent one party and fight their whole terms with another party. We're sending them there to be able to unite and reach across aisles and get people to come together and agree. And for very progressive, Democrats, there has to be an understanding and a sense of being reasonable that this country is kind of built around these bicameral parties, right? And because of that, we have to be able to work with everybody, right? It can't just be your way or the highway. And so what's going to make more sense to get things done is having people who can do that, not have people just fight. That's why nothing gets done in the government. People spend their whole terms fighting one another, getting nothing done for the American people, right? And to be policy over party, to have policy over party, it makes more sense. That's what the American people need, right? It's not just fighting some strong view you believe in and that gets done or nothing else. That's not how it works, right? This is still somewhat a democracy, and we have to come to terms with that. But quite interesting. I'm happy about that. What we're seeing with Andrew Yang, he still has quite a road ahead, but he's looking darn good, guys. I mean, he's looking darn good. He's going to be looking better than anybody up there real shortly here. And I don't mean just to the Yang gang, I mean to all the American people. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But that's all I want to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, take care.